Generous sense of providence. Fullness of life, in vocation. Don't be afraid of being considered insignificant or unbalanced. For amazement had seized him and all those who were fishing with him at the fish they had caught. Luke 5 verses 1 to 11. Welcome to our channel that compares themes of the Gospel and Franciscan Sources. Today we will delve deeper into the generous sense of vocation, typical of the primitive community of Franciscan envoys. For a more complete overview of our human, cultural and spiritual proposal, we suggest you visit the website juvie.art. Juvie.art. Francis had understood that the words of the crucifix of San Damiano did not refer to the reconstruction of the small temple, but to the renewal of the Church in its members. He had put aside the clothes of penance to take on the minority guise. Girding his hips with a rough rope, and covering his head with the hood used by the peasants of the time. Walking barefoot. He had begun his apostolic mission by marrying Our Lady Poverty to become, as Jesus suggested, a fisher of men in faith. Sources, in a transversal way, provide significant pictures of this becoming a fisherman in the announcement of the word of salvation. We read, in fact, in his address to the friars, "Dearest brethren, let us consider our vocation. God, in his mercy, has called us not only for our salvation, but also for that of many others. Let us therefore go throughout the world, exhorting all, by example more than by words, to do penance for their sins and to remember the commandments of God." And he continued, "Do not be afraid of being considered insignificant or unbalanced, but proclaim penance with courage and simplicity. Have faith in the Lord, who has conquered the world." Sources 1440. Francis had cast his nets into the sea of society at the time to bring souls to God, and this is what he taught his brethren to do. The latter walked all joyfully, speaking among themselves the words of the Lord, saying nothing that did not serve to the praise and glory of God and to the benefit of the soul. They frequently abandoned themselves to prayer. The Lord took care of preparing hospitality for them and made sure they were provided with everything they needed. Sources 1455. Wonder accompanies them in their purity of spirit, for the souls they led to God, happy that the unloved love, as Francis said, through the announcement became better known. The disciples who believed immediately experienced the fertileness of the gestures performed in unity with Christ. With introspective ability combined with grace, Francis became a fruitful missionary, who worked miracles with the strength of the risen one, casting the net on the right side. The sources narrate a significant episode, which occurred in a hermitage, near Rieti. Font Colombo. Visited by the doctor for the treatment of his eyes, Francis asked his companions to welcome him to lunch, preparing something good for him. "Father," replied the guardian, "we tell you with shame, we are ashamed to invite, we are so poor at this moment." "Do you want me to repeat it to you?" insisted the saint. The doctor was present and intervened. "I, dearest brethren, will consider your penury a delight." The friars hastily set out on the table what is in the pantry, a little bread, not much wine, and to make the lunch more sumptuous, the kitchen sends some legumes. But the Lord's table in the meantime is moved to compassion for the servants' table. They knock on the door and run to open it. There is a woman who offers a basket full of beautiful bread, fish and shrimp pies, and on top an abundance of honey and grapes. At this sight the poor guests sparkled with joy, and putting aside that misery for the next day, they ate of those delicious foods. The moved doctor exclaimed, neither we lay people nor you friars truly know the sanctity of this man. And they would certainly have been fully satisfied, but more than the food, the miracle had satiated them. Thus the loving eye of the Father never despises his own, but rather assists, with more generous providence, those who are most in need. The poor feed at a table richer than that of the king, as God surpasses man in generosity. Sources 6:29. For amazement had seized him and all those who were fishing with him at the fish they had caught. Luke 5 verses 1-11. Thank you all for your kind attention. We invite you to subscribe to the channel to stay updated on our activities. If you liked it, leave a well done to support us. Subscribe, give your precious like, share with your friends, and comment too. Thanks, see you soon.